What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I have another one of my own personal top 10 lists videos to share with you guys today. Now, I know that I'm a little bit late to the party in celebrating Batman's 75th birthday, but heck, better late than never. And I decided to do kind of a second part to my original video, which I went over my top 10 favorite Batman villains, which I'll leave a link to that video in the description down below. But this time, I'll be going over my top 10 favorite Batman allies. Now, I would like to warn you that this list is my own personal list, and it may be drastically different from yours, or there might be a couple of characters you might find a little bit questionable, but hell, it's my list, so I'm going to do it my way. So starting off with number 10, I picked Azrael, or more specifically, the Jean-Paul Valley Azrael. And the reason I liked him so much as an ally is because he serves as like a tripwire or a reaction character within the Batline storylines. Like, usually when Azrael shows up in a certain storyline, you know for a fact that either something bad is about to happen, something bad is happening, or something bad has already happened. And more famously, he played a very important role in the Nightfall storyline, the one where, obviously Bane breaks Batman's back. And, he played a semi-important role in Arkham City, which is why I'm really excited to see what they do in the next Arkham game. I really want them to follow up that warning that Azrael gives to Batman about that, he is going to burn. And the thing about it is that Azrael, even in one storyline, turns against the very order that made him who he is, because he believes that Batman's cause was a lot more nobler than his own. And I think that that takes a lot for a character to turn against the very organization that made you who you are to serve a, in your opinion, a much better cause. And, that's something that not many of Batman's allies are willing to do. They're not willing to throw away their own ambitions to join Batman. But, heck, so I think that's what makes him such a cool character. Going into number 9, I picked Barbara Gordon as Oracle. Yes, Oracle, not as Batgirl. The reason I like Barbara Gordon more as Oracle is because it's really more because of her disability and how she's not allowed that to slow her down. I mean, most people, when, they get crippled or paralyzed, that usually slows them down, but that didn't stop Barbara Gordon. She was still a brilliant tech when she was Batgirl, and she continued to hold it on even with Oracle, and she was always great with moral support. She always gave the rest of, not just Batman, but the rest of the Batman family information when they needed it. And she showed that even though she can't be on the front lines, she can be just as important as an asset, even behind a computer keyboard. And, that's, I would even put that on par, that she actually did more behind the front lines on the tech side than she did when she was on the front lines with the rest of the Batman family. But, that's just my own personal opinion, so that's why she is number 9 on this list. Going on to number 8, I picked Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon is interesting because he's one of those characters who at the beginning is kind of against what Batman does, but he grows as a character and he realizes that there are certain threats that the law simply cannot handle. It's like, it's the tough choice. He's willing to allow Batman to do what he does for the greater good. And that's something that a lot of cops, even in the Batman storyline, they don't do. They say, he's breaking the law. He's just as bad as the criminals he puts away. But Gordon realizes that, the police are unprepared to take on someone like Killer Croc, or Bane, or Two-Face, or how many other villains. But he knows that Batman is in the right position. He has the right training, the right gear. He has the tools needed to take down these criminals. And sometimes Gordon himself does help, but I wouldn't really necessarily say he's essential to how Batman achieves his goals, but he is willing to acknowledge how important Batman is. And I think he does that better than any other, like, standard cop character. He sees the flaws in Batman, but he knows it's for the greater good. And I think that's what really makes him a really great ally. Going on to number 7, I picked Terry McGinnis, or aka the future Batman from the Batman Beyond series. The reason I like Terry is because out of all the people who have put on the bat cap, or put on the suit outside of Bruce Wayne, I would say that Terry McGinnis was probably my favorite. I think he was the most worthy successor to Bruce Wayne as Batman, simply because he didn't try to emulate, or he didn't try to imitate Bruce Wayne as Batman. He took the character and he kind of made it his own, and he made it work for himself in a completely different time of Gotham City, a much more futuristic Gotham. And I like how he likes to stand up for himself, even against someone like Bruce Wayne, and that's something that a lot of the other Batman allies I have on my list would do, but he was able to do it at a time where, you know, Batman is clearly maybe not, he's obviously not in his prime because he's an old man, but he's willing to acknowledge that times have changed and so must the Batman. And Terry McGinnis recognizes this, and he actually convinces Bruce to let him be the next Batman. And I think that when you can convince Batman or Bruce Wayne to see things your way, that's a pretty impressive quality. And that's something that I think only Terry McGinnis and a few others have been able to do, and that's why he's on this list. Number 6 on my list is Wonder Woman. Now, I know that number 6 and 5 are really going to confuse people because they're some of my all-time favorite superheroes, but the reason I put Wonder Woman on this list is that she's a solid ally in the way of we work together, but that's as far as I want to go. And I know that some people would like to say, oh, she's a really great love interest for Batman. And, you know, I thought it was cute in the animated series, and I think it's cute in the comic books, but I would never take Wonder Woman and Batman seriously as a couple. They're just simply two different people that come from two different backgrounds, and they're not really compatible enough. But I would say that Wonder Woman is probably the one female ally of his that he respects the most because she is a cunning warrior, she is a brilliant strategist, and she is someone who will stick her neck out to save her fellow man, whether it's someone like Batman, Superman, or Green Lantern, or any of her male allies on the Justice League. And that's what really makes her, at least for Batman, a really great ally to have on his side. Going into number 5, I picked Superman. I know, this one I had difficulty trying because I so wanted to put him as number 1 because, you know, obviously Superman is in many ways his greatest ally, but to some people, or maybe a great rival. But the thing I have against Superman is that Superman, out of any member of the Justice League, probably has the most problems with. I mean, these two are constantly butting heads. They're completely opposite characters, and they both seem to want to achieve the same goal, but from different perspectives. And so that kind of makes them hard to be true allies at times, because there are a lot of things that Superman is not willing to do that Batman is, and that causes friction. And I think out of any members of the Justice League, those who have the most friction. And although that's certainly a great basis for character development and, you know, seeing them have to work past their differences and work toward the better good, the most that I've ever seen Superman in terms of an ally is he is simply the person that Batman has to call if he acknowledges that there's a threat he cannot handle. Like, if Batman is all of a sudden confronted with someone like Darkseid or Doomsday or some type of intergalactic being that Batman himself knows he cannot handle, that's when you call Superman. And although that is a good statement to call an ally, that's really just a desperation tactic for me. And that's why I put Superman as number 5 on my list. Going on to number 4, I picked Catwoman. Catwoman is a very good ally for a number of reasons. Simply because Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle are so comparable. They have so many things in common. And in many ways, they have more things in common than I think any of Batman's own allies on the Justice League. And I think she's also my favorite love interest for Batman. And I think in one storyline, they actually got married and had a kid. But the reason I like Selina Kyle so much is because although she is willing to cross the lines that Batman does not, she has enough good in her to know when to do the right thing. And in many storylines, she's actually helped Batman take on some of his toughest threats. I mean, in one storyline, she helps him, you know, take down or technically defeat a controlled Superman in a number of storylines. And in recent years, you know, she's actually been a very prominent member of maybe not the Bat family, but I would like to say the extended Bat family. And I even remember in one storyline, she is part of the Justice League. Please tell me if I'm correct on that. And, you know, they even outside of the costumes, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, they have great chemistry together. What more can I say about Catwoman? I just absolutely love her. She's the, I mean, if there's any, well, I guess if there was any female, like, comic character I would be interested in dating, I would probably pick Catwoman simply because she might be a little bit crazy and might be willing to kill people, but I think the relationship would be interesting enough that it would last for a very long time. Going on to number 3, I have to pick one of the Robins, and I'm picking my own personal favorite Robin, and I pick Tim Drake. Now, if you know anything about the Robins, you know that each of them carries a similar quality to Batman that makes them stand apart from the other ones. So, you know, Tim has a difference from Dick, Jason, and Damian. But what I liked about Tim was that I believe Tim was the smartest. And I believe his own detective skills were very on par with Batman, so much so that even before he became Robin, he was being able to track down Batman. And that's what really impressed Bruce Wayne to let him become the third Robin after Jason Todd, if I remember correctly. And I've always valued being intellectual. Damn, I can't say these complicated words. I've always admired a character or an ally of Batman that was more known for their abilities to think ahead or think in a very smart way than simply be able to be a good fighter or be very athletic or be aggressive as someone like Batman is. And so that is why out of all the Robins, Tim Drake has always been my favorite. Going on to number 2, I picked Dick Grayson as Nightwing. I would say out of all of the allies that Batman has worked with, or in terms of the Robins, I would say Dick Grayson was unquestionably his greatest success, because it was, in my opinion, it's kind of the feeling of a parent raising their child and then having them go off on their own and do their own thing. And, you know, we all know that that's exactly what happened with Dick Grayson. And in many ways, Dick Grayson was actually one of the other few people that actually tried to take on the mantle of Batman. And in many storylines, he did a reasonably good job. Even in one storyline, even allowing Bruce Wayne's actual son, Damian, to work with Dick Grayson, because he thought that it would be better for him to work with someone else other than his own father. And, you know, I agree with him on that. And Dick Grayson, for me, has always been the one character that out of all of his predecessors, or out of all of his apprentices, he did really grow into his own more than any other Robin, and that is why he is number 2 on this list. And that leads me to number 1, and my all-time favorite ally is probably the first ally that Batman ever had, and had throughout his entire life, and that is Alfred Pennyworth. It's one thing to be an ally to Batman, it's another to be an ally, or not just ally, but be probably the person that Bruce Wayne goes to, even when he's not Batman. I mean, he has been just so supportive of everything he does. I mean, even living a destructive life being Batman, he is the loyal servant. He is personally the only real family member. I mean, I think he's had a much stronger relationship with Alfred than he ever had with his parents, Martha and Thomas Wayne. And it really speaks to a true friendship and a partnership and a family bond that, although is very present in a number of other Batman allies, it's never been as strong as with Alfred. I think he values Alfred ahead of just about anyone else, including people like Dick Grayson or the Robins or any of his own allies. And, you know, Alfred acknowledges this, and I think that the fact that Alfred has always been supportive of what he's done, as long as he's done the best thing, and even though sometimes they have conflicts, they've always been able to patch things up and make the relationship even stronger. And that is why out of any Batman ally, I've always valued Alfred's presence the best ally that Bruce Wayne could ever have. Because, heck, in many ways, if there was no Alfred, we may not have a Batman. Who knows what would have happened? So that is why Alfred Pennyworth is my favorite Batman ally. And with that, that is the end of my video. I would like to thank all of you guys for watching, and I really would like to know, what are some of your guys' favorite Batman allies? Maybe there's a couple that I'm aware of that I didn't put on my list, but I really would like to hear from you guys. And if you like this video, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track me in my future movie, video game reviews, and topic videos like this one. And if you like this video, you can also press one of the links in the description down below to follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook, and I will be sure to friend you and follow you back. Like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.